Corrine Fleischer is the World Food Programme's Regional Director for the Middle East. She was recently on the ground there to see the humanitarian crisis firsthand. She is now back in Cairo, and I spoke with her just earlier this morning. Corrine Fleischer, thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning.
You were recently in Gaza, and I'm wondering if we can start there by you telling me a little bit about the situation on the ground.
Yeah, we were there last week, and it's really catastrophic. I mean, there are people everywhere. You know, the shelters are completely overcrowded. There are people in the streets everywhere with nowhere to go. You can sense the loss that they have because they don't know where to go. You see cars with tents on the roof and people just driving around because they don't know where to pitch it. There is no space for it. There is also, you can sense the fear everywhere, you know. There is, you know, we came through the border, we were in there, you know, the bombing, the sound of the bombing accompanied our whole day. And, you know, at times you could feel the shaking of the earth from it. So people go through this, you know, every day. And now there is rain, and that just increases the misery of the people who are there. And then, of course, there is no food. Mm-hmm. I was shocked by two things. One, you know, I saw our own staff, whom I know, whom I've seen, you know, a few months ago. They have lost weight. They are very slim, you know, because, of course, a lot of work, the stress, the fear, but no food. Mm-hmm. And they have money to buy food, but they can't buy it. You know, I met at the retail shop where we were, one of our contracted retail shops, where they told me since 2 weeks everything is empty, and you saw the empty shelves. And I had a person come there, you know, from Gaza, you know, with good clothes, and you could see this is a well-off person. He came and he says, I can't buy anything. Mm-hmm. I have the money, but I can't buy any food. So people are going hungry.
How is the World Food Programme succeeding in getting aid in right now? I know that there was obviously the pause where things were functioning a little bit better. What is the situation now in terms of what you're able to get into Gaza?
Look, the humanitarian operations are on the brink of collapse. I mean, we bring, you know, completely insignificant amounts of aid into Gaza. And, you know, this was so incredible to see. You know, we walked through the border with a lot of trucks with WFP food in the back of us. We go in and we come to a retail shop where everything is empty. So no food is coming in. You know, our assessment is that about 10% of the food required for 2.2 million people in Gaza has come through the border in the last 70 days. So no wonder, you know, that people are going hungry. Mm-hmm. And there is a break of law and order because people are absolutely desperate. They have lost faith. We managed to go to places where we hadn't been before. We managed to deliver much more aid, and we actually, you know, managed to set up our logistics presence for us and you know, the humanitarian community deeper and better. And we did an assessment, and that assessment is horrific. You know, it shows that 90% of the people go without a whole day of food in Gaza, and of which many told us that has been for 10 days in the last 30 days without any food. Wow. So 50% of the people are starving in Gaza. You know, they are in a situation of severe or extreme hunger, as our assessment shows. And right now, this assessment is under review by experts around the world, and the results of it will come out next week. And we are very, very concerned what this assessment will say.
Israel has opened the Kerem Shalom crossing to try and ease some of that congestion at Rafah. What would that mean in terms of the ability to get things in?
It's absolutely important. We can't just use Rafah border crossing from Egypt. We do need Kerem Shalom to open. We have actually trucks lined up that can go through this crossing, and we are, you know, working with the authorities to make sure that it is operationalized. We absolutely welcome the announcement that it is opening. It will allow us to bring in much more food and, of course, other humanitarian supplies into Gaza. And so we hope that this is operationalized very quickly, and we're working with the authorities on that.
There is, from my understanding, another blackout, communications blackout in Gaza that's been going on for perhaps 2 days, 2 or 3 days. How challenging is it for your workers on the ground to not be able to communicate back with you? I mean, and obviously people in Gaza can't communicate with any of their family members or people outside of Gaza.
You know, I mean, connectivity is everything, as we know, in the world, and you know, it just increases the level of fear when you cannot communicate. That's for the people. But for our operations, it's the motor, no? Fuel is the motor, connectivity is the motor. You know, how do you bring trucks through the border if you can't communicate with those who have to pick it up on the other side? You know, our retail shops work on connectivity because people go and redeem not so much vouchers now because there is no more food there, but we're using retail shops to bring, you know, in-kind food there so people to redeem their vouchers and get an in-kind food parcel. Not working without connectivity. You know, our whole you know, communication amongst us with, you know, on security and so forth is not working. So, you know, you're operating under you know, a sky full of airstrikes, and you can't communicate for the safety of your staff to deliver and for the people, you know, who have to access their assistance safely.
There are, as I'm sure you know, growing calls for some sort of sustainable ceasefire. Canada changed its position last week. Britain and Germany have now done that as well. I wonder whether that gives you some hope that there will be another pause so that people, so that your employees and aid can get in and help the people.
Yes, absolutely. And we really call for a humanitarian ceasefire. And, you know, while we had the pause, we were really able to not only deliver, but start setting up an operation. And so that is only possible when, you know, the places where we can deliver aid now are completely shrinking. And so if there is a ceasefire, we will be able to reach people, you know, in the shelters, in their homes, on the streets, you know, wherever they are. And we will be able to start setting up an operation with the real, you know, logistics setup, with monitoring, you know, to make sure that the people reaches the food reaches the right people who are most in need, and also, of course, to do continued assessments. So absolutely necessary.
I'll just end on this, Corrine Fleischer. Beyond famine, obviously, and lack of water and fuel, what are your concerns around illness spreading? Because obviously there are sanitation issues as well. And I wonder how concerned you are about the development of illness or viruses spreading now.
Well, you know, when we were there in this overcrowded shelter, the people brought us to the, you know, to the sanitary place, and it was horrific. So clearly, when you see this, you know that disease is spreading. Now there is rain, so, you know, there is flooding. Everything, you know, goes everywhere. People walking in this, children walking barefoot in this. And they're fighting against the water to come into their tents now. Clearly, a big risk already happening, that disease is spreading.